Hey guys, James Buckley here coming to you from my home office here in Cedar Grove, Tennessee. And guys, I am the creator of JamesBuckley.com and Divine Insight for Prosperity. And guys, I'm a business coach and a life coach. Business/life coach. And what I do is I help people in their lives to establish their life in relation to emotional states, breaking mental behaviors, and in business just creating leads and building authority online. So in this video, guys, I want to talk to you about something that's really essential. The two things that most people struggle with is keeping themselves in alignment with managing themselves and then the relationships in general. So in this video, I want to talk to you about 4 skills to manage your emotional intelligence. It's really important that you get these 4 skills down, because if you do, you'll learn just how to connect with yourself, build yourself, personally develop yourself, and then connect with other people, build relationships. And as Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. So stay tuned. I'm going to share these 4 key skills with you. Alright, there's 4 things in relation to emotional stability when it comes to emotional intelligence. Now, the first 2 is going to be about yourself. The last 2 is going to be about connecting emotionally with others. So the first one is self-awareness. Now, this is key. Self-awareness is important here, guys. And here's what you got to learn with self-awareness. You got to have emotional self-awareness down, accurate self-assessment, and self-confidence. First, let's talk about emotional self-awareness. When it comes to emotional self-awareness, guys, you got to be able to recognize when your emotions begin to change. You know, in life, we deal with certain circumstances, situations, and people sometimes. And sometimes in the book, Break the Habit of Being Yourself, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about not letting your environment dictate your thoughts and your emotions, but let your thoughts and your emotions control your environment. So most people get that mixed up, and then they get out of alignment. Their emotional self-awareness, they get out of alignment. Next thing you know, it impacts their work because they're emotionally high or they're emotionally low, and they're not in a place where they can connect with people in a relationship basis. So their self-awareness is out of alignment. And the second thing is this: you got to have an accurate self-assessment. You got to be able to assess yourself on a continuous basis. You know, take a inventory every day of where you are in your emotions. Self-evaluation. Why? I'm glad you asked. You got to be able to understand that we all flow out of strengths and weaknesses, or strengths and limitations. And so you got to be able to self-evaluate yourself and master the weaknesses that weaken you, and then you got to take your strengths to another level every time you get an opportunity. Take your strengths to another level. So that's the second thing in self-awareness. It is to have accurate self-assessment. Do that on a day-to-day basis. And the third one in self-awareness is this: self-confidence. You know, a lot of people deal with self-worth, or a lot of people deal with their self-image, and what happens in this is go through a challenge in life and get through some journeys and some valleys, and you begin to look down on yourself. Then your self-awareness will begin to affect you because you'll have a low self-image, and every time you get ready to connect with people, your energy level will be at a level that you don't connect properly, because guess what? People will pick up on your emotions, and you got to be able to always keep yourself in a high self, and that's just self-confidence. Have self-confidence in who you are. Remember that. That's number 1, self-awareness. And number 2, guys, is this: really important: self-management. Now, it's different from self-awareness. Self-awareness is a mental thing. Self-management is taking control. There are 6 things we want to talk about in self-management. And number 1 is self-control. Now, it's different from self-confidence. Self-confidence is having confidence in yourself. But self-control is this: it's the ability to keep disruptive emotions and impulses under control. Now, get that. It's the ability to keep disruptive emotions and impulses under control. It's going to be always a time that, guys, that you're going to have an argument with a co-worker or argument with someone in your circle of influence, argument with your spouse or something. But you got to be able to take that impulse and be able to squash it and be able to get in a higher level of energy and be able to manage that self-control assessment. Once you keep yourself intact, always control your energy level. That's the first thing in self-management is self-control. And number 2 in self-management is this: trustworthiness. You got to have a consistent display of honesty and integrity. Trustworthy. Always be honest, because if you're honest with yourself, you'll be honest with others. Never take that for granted. Be honest with yourself, guys, and walk in integrity. Because what you do behind closed doors is going to be reference to what you do in reference to other people. So trustworthiness. Number 3 in self-management is this: conscientiousness. Being conscious-minded of the things that you have to get done. I'm going to tell you, when it comes to self-management, you got to be conscientiousness of what you got to get done. You got to manage your responsibilities. We all have responsibilities. If you got a daily plan of action that you got to do on a day-to-day basis, then you got to take that in consideration. And that self-management and that conscientiousness has got to make a direct approach in being responsible and getting things done. Being conscious of what you got to get done. Self-management. That's the third thing. The fourth thing is this: adaptability. Guys, there's going to always be times that things is going to come up, but you got to always be ready, willing to adapt. If you're going out, and I do a Facebook Live every day at 3 o'clock, and sometimes if I know I'm not going to get back, I grab my iPad, I grab my little device, my little phone device. I'll be able to adapt with the environment as I leave, and I manage to always be able to get my Facebook Live at 3 o'clock no matter where I'm at. If I had to pull over beside the road. Adaptability. Always overcoming obstacles and adjust in changing environments. That's the fourth thing in self-management. And the fifth one, guys, here is this: achievement orientation. Get that, guys. Achievement orientation. You got to always be self-driven, and you got to always be able to meet internal standards of excellence. It's almost like integrity, but you got to always meet the internal standards of excellence. You got to always hold yourself to a higher standard. Guys, it's important that you do that. That is the fifth thing in self-management. Achievement orientation. Always achieving more. If you want to be more, you got to become more. And the last thing in self-management, guys, is this: initiative. You got to always have a strong initiative and be willing to take responsibilities. You got to always have a readiness to seize opportunities. Sometimes procrastination can keep you stuck. Guys, I've come to realize, Wayne Dyer said it like this: you can never fail at who you are. You can never fail at who you are. So always take responsibility in self-management to take the initiative to seize every opportunity that's going to be beneficial for you. All right, let's move to number 3. 3 and 4 has to do with involvement of other people. This first 2 was involvement of you and your ability to be able to self-awareness and self-management. But this 3 and 4 is about external things in relationships with others. So you got to always have a social awareness. It's number 3, social awareness. And let's talk more about that. There's 3 things we're going to talk about in social awareness. That's empathy, organizational awareness, and service orientation. First, about empathy. It's the skill of sensing other people's emotions. You know, you got to always be a people person. And Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. But empathy is always the skill of sensing other people's emotion. See, it's not about you. It's about how many people can you help. So you got to always be able to take a skill of sensing other people's emotion and understanding their perspective. You know, everybody ain't going to have the same perspective that you have, and don't always think you know it all. Always take another person's perspective, and you always want to respond to them. If you don't agree with it, say, I appreciate your concern in that, but here's what I found. Always relate to that. See, when you're sensitive to other people's perspective, then that is empathy. That's empathy, and it's really going to take you far when it comes to building relationships. And in empathy also, you have to take active interest in other people's concerns. Take active interest in other people's concerns. Now, Dale Carnegie coined this in How to Win Friends and Influence People. You got to be genuinely interested about people. You got to take active interest about other people's concerns. That's the first thing in social awareness. Secondly, organizational awareness. Now, guys, this is key. Organizational awareness is this. It's the ability to read the currents of organizational life. Organizational life meaning you got to build networks. Build the networks. When you decide on building networks, your vibe will attract your tribe. So you got to always have an organizational awareness on what people's interests are. That's important, real important. The third thing in social awareness, service orientation. Guys, customer service is big. Customer service is what I look at when I'm going into a restaurant. When I stop by a restaurant to eat, the tip that I give is based on the customer service that I get. If I get a poor customer service, I give poor tips. I make you earn your tips. Now, that's key when it comes to building you and in your relationship connection. Always remind yourself that you're building relationships everywhere you go. So you got to be key on that, guys. You got to have the ability to recognize and meet the customer's needs. Always. Point blank. That's the third one in social awareness. All right, number 4, social skill. Now this is important, guys. I'm going to close out with this social skill. Here we go. Talk about several things here in social skills. Number 1, visionary leadership. There's a scripture in the Bible in Proverbs 29 and 18 that says, without vision, people perish. So visionary leadership. You as a leader, do you have visionary skills? Visionary leadership. This is one of the skills you got to get in perspective to you being a leader. You got to be able to take charge and inspire others with a compelling vision. If you got your vision written down and you already know your vision, you'll flow with passion in your vision, and your visionary leadership will flow out of you expoundly. So you got to take visionary leadership. That's number 1 in social skill. Number 2 is this, influence. This is the ability to have persuasive tactics. I don't mean cunning and crafting, but I mean being influential by your value that you offer and by you being just a go-getter or a nice person. You got to be a very interactive type of person, but this is a skill that you got to get. You got to have influence. Number 3, developing others. Every social skill that you get that builds you, you got to be able to boisterously connect with other people and direct them and guide them in their mannerisms or in their etiquette when they're talking on social connections. You got to be able to have the ability to develop others. That's a social skill that most leaders may have lack of, and then if you can't help people develop who they are, then definitely you got to work on who you are. Personal development will be essential to developing others. Developing others is a social skill. Number 4, communication. Guys, the soft skill of communication is you having a sense of listening and sending clear subliminal messages to people. Communication sometimes is not just about what you say, it's about you sending out great subliminal messages. See, communication skills is real important because nonverbal communication is really top. 55% is your tonality. 37% is your body language. The remaining 8% is the words you use. So your communication skill has got to be at the top to where you can give great messages and communicate real effectively. Communication skill is number 4. Number 5 in social skills is this, change catalyst. You got to be a change catalyst. And that skill, guys, is something that I'm working on right now. Change catalyst is all about proficiency in initiating new ideas. People are habitual beings, so therefore they don't like change. So you got to be a change catalyst to be able to proficiently initiate new ideals. And people got to get it when you initiate it. That's important in a social skill. Change catalyst. All right, guys, last but not least, guy, is teamwork and collaboration. Teamwork and collaboration is important because when we talk about building teams, there's no I in teamwork. There is together, everyone achieves more in team. So you've got to get this part down flat out. You got to have competence in promoting and developing team structure. Team structure. That means masterminds, boot camps, or whatever it takes. Teamwork and collaboration to get your team together, train them together, get them on the same note, get them on the same path, making sure that they get the ideologies together, their strategies together, their daily plans and actions together, making sure they got the same roadmap that you're able to teach them, lead them, and guide them to the next level of their success. Guys, I hope this has been some help for you. It's been great for me to be able to teach you this opportunity here. It's great for me to be able to share with you the 4 things in relation to emotional intelligence. We're talking about from the least to the greatest: social skills, social management, self-awareness, and self-management. Guys, get this down. Make sure you master the craft of your emotional intelligence within yourself and your relationship, where you can build a successful team. Guys, this is James Buckley. Thank you for stopping by. If you're here on my video channel, go ahead and like, comment, and share this. Go ahead and subscribe. If you found this to be valuable, subscribe to my channel. Always producing value. And also, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Look forward to seeing you. Look in the description below or somewhere in the scope of this video. Grab the free 25 questions that you can ask your prospects in a network marketing questionnaire when it comes to recruiting. It'll definitely be a great opportunity for you to get some free information, PDF download. I'll see you guys in the next video, guys. You take care, and God bless.